Now, with Nadine.
At just 21 years old, Kenna has turned a garage hobby into a powerhouse brand, customizing shoes for Olympians, NFL players, MLB All-Stars, and NASCAR drivers. Her journey started at 16 years old, doodling on sneakers during lockdown, with Simone Biles as one of her first big clients. She quickly took off, landing her first NFL cleat design gig at 17 years old. She's worked with every major sports team in Arizona, been featured on ESPN, and often paints live at charity events and auctions. We have the young entrepreneur here in studio to talk all things Kicks by Kenna. How fun is that?
Amazing.
You know, all I have to say, mom to mom, who's sitting watching us, she must be so proud.
I hope so.
She is. And she's your business partner.
She's the best.
She helps run the business side of things. But Kenna, I mean, from 16 to 21, how does it make you feel?
You know, blessed is the word to describe it, really. I'm very grateful to, even be here. This is incredible. I'm so happy about it.
Oh, well, you're so gracious and eloquent. And we're going to dive into your to your whole story. But first, I want to ask, because you just turned 21, how did you celebrate?
In New York.
Okay, what did you do? I want all the details.
Everything. We went to Broadway. I saw the Rockettes. I might have cried a little. It was such an amazing show. And we did everything, really. I saw the Statue of Liberty, ate some bagels. It was a great time.
It was a great time. And you had your first drink.
No, I did not, actually.
Okay. Well, that's good. Bagels make up for it.
Bagels did make up for it.
Bagels make up for it. Okay, so now at 16 years old, before even 16, were you one of those kids in class that instead of listen, just doodled on their piece of paper?
I was, actually. In fact, I even used to get in trouble for it. They'd be like, Kenna, listen. And I'd just be, drawing under my desk. What were you drawing? Everything, really anything. I loved animals, so I drew a lot of animals.
Was it just something that came natural to you?
It was, actually. I think maybe when I was really young, I took a few art classes, but really it's just been self-taught.
Self-taught. So, all throughout middle school, high school, you're drawing and doodling.
Yep.
And then you, at 16, that's when you were on lockdown.
Yes, it was. That's when COVID first hit. I was a sophomore in high school.
And, being a sophomore in high school and having that happen, any age is a hard age to go through that. How was that for you personally and emotionally?
At the time, my business really did come at the perfect time for me. It was a time and I had actually just moved schools, so I wasn't really, there wasn't really friends yet, and it was something that I already knew that I loved, and at the time, actually, it was a trend on YouTube, and I saw it and was like...
What was the trend? Describe what the trend was.
There were people that were painting shoes for, famous people, and I was like, that's really cool, I could do that, and so I just started it, and... Yeah, at the time, I didn't even have social media. In fact, Mom was the one who posted them on Facebook. And then just from there, we kind of exploded. Kicks by Kenna became a thing.
Okay, so 16, you're on lockdown. Are you just bored and what am I going to do? Is that what sparked you to start the business, saying I got to do something else?
Yeah, I've always kind of been a go-getter. And so, even just doing the one pair wasn't enough for me. My first pair I ever did, and I don't talk about this one very much, I did a pair of Converse for my little brother. That was my very first pair of shoes. And they were Chinese dragons and gold dripping paint all over them. They were crazy.
And what is it? Is it physical paint? Is it a certain kind of paint?
It's a mix of things. It's a process. Took some development to get to the point we're at now, but it's a process. There's a lot of prep work. We do a lot of pre-coats to the paint. The paint itself is special. And then we do a 2-top clear coat that is waterproof and resistant.
And once you did that for your brother, did that light bulb go off and be like, you know what, this could be my business?
Yeah, pretty much. It was almost like no one's doing this.
There was a YouTube trend.
There was a few people. It was more of people were just doing it for a hobby, really, of anything. And I was like, this is something big. We could do this. And Mom was really a huge part in that. She was my number one supporter through everything and has always had my back.
Okay, so Mom sees YouTube. You make the kicks for little brother, and then you decide, okay, did you dream of Kicks by Kenna in the middle of the night? Did it just come to you?
It took some time, actually. In fact, when we were coming up with Kicks by Kenna, This is so funny, but it's true how things really just start from nothing. But I wrote a bunch of names on a piece of paper and passed it to all my cousins and was like, pick the one you think is the best. And Kicks by Kenna won.
What a smart idea.
Right? It's crazy.
Okay, so, it's one thing to have an idea and to dream big, but then it's another thing to actually land a celebrity. So talk me through point A of brother to point B, what Olympian?
Right. So from brother to Olympian, which was Michaela Skinner for the 2021 Olympics, right after COVID. It was honestly a crazy experience. So after that first pair, it really got heat with my neighbors. Is crazy enough. They were the first ones to start buying from Kicks by Kenna. And at the time, it really wasn't nothing special. I was doing little prints. My art styles hadn't really developed a whole lot yet. So they were really just with me through it all. And then after that, through marketing and through mom helping me along the way, when we got Michaela Skinner, it was for the Olympics, but it was actually through a mutual connection I had at the time. It was my gymnastics teacher.
Okay.
And
there
she
you
had
go.
taught Michaela Skinner or some form of that. And Michaela had heard about me and was like, we should do this. And so she reached out on Instagram. And
She reached out to you.
she did, I believe. Yeah, we worked with my gymnastics coach and we got the ball rolling. And then from there, it just took off.
Did you grow up doing gymnastics?
I did, actually. I was a dancer from 3 to 18.
So did you ever have dreams of doing that instead?
I don't think necessarily doing that. I was pretty good at it. After a while, I just decided art is really my passion. So that's where it kind of went from there.
How refreshing to have an Olympian reach out to you over Instagram, despite that mutual connection. When you got that DM in your Instagram inbox, how did you feel? 17 years old, 16 years old?
I think I was 16 at the time. Yeah. There's no words to describe that feeling, honestly. And I still feel that. We've been doing it for almost 5 years now, and I still, get butterflies.
What was on her shoes that you did?
So at the time, it was her silver medal, and then it was commemorating the Olympics. And so I actually put a picture of her holding her medal. And then I believe we put the Tokyo crest because they redo it every year per Olympics. So
now, with someone like her, and we'll dive into this deeper, talking about more of your clients, do you ask what they want, or do you take your vision and fly with it?
it is such a diverse scale of things we do for people. It depends on what they're asking, but for her specifically, there was no direction. It was really just what I wanted to do. And that is one of my favorite things when my clients trust me enough to just know that I understand them. And that's honestly, it's an honor.
And when she got them for your first big client, what was her reaction?
It was amazing. In fact, this is the coolest thing. I got to deliver them at the governor's house.
Oh my goodness.
They were doing a party to celebrate her because she's a Gilbert girl. So I got to deliver them at the party and I got to meet her and I have a picture of me hugging her and she's literally like this tall and she's the cutest thing. She was so sweet and it was just, honestly, I think that client, that experience really, because before it was honestly just a dream and it really was like, this could work, this could happen. And it's just been up and up since then.
Okay, well, we want to talk about up and up, but eventually you get off lockdown and you go back to school. Do we go back to school?
I did, yeah.
You did go back to school?
Hybrid first.
Hybrid first.
Mm-hmm.
And you're focusing on school, but I'm assuming you're really focusing in your business.
I feel like I'm so lucky that I get to be such a diverse person and get to do all of these things, but it was hard time
to balance.
Balancing things it's hard. And even in college now, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know how let's just say sleep is the last thing I think about.
Right. We'll sleep when we're dead. That's how I live too.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk about Simone Biles. Did that just, did she reach out to you too?
That was actually through Michaela. She helped me out there. So we got to deliver those in person at, they were doing an Olympic, it was like for girls, kind of a show they were doing. And so I got to deliver those ones at the show. And that was a super fun experience.
And are these people sending you shoes? Do you buy the shoes? Like, how does it all work?
All of my clients buy the shoes and send them to me. So,
And what are their instructions? You say they have to be white. They have to be what?
so the color has some wiggle room there, but it's actually material that I work off of. So like suede doesn't work. The fly knit of like the tennis shoes doesn't usually work.
What works?
Leather and canvas. Those are my
Leather,
two
right.
recommendations. But if there's something that they're absolutely set on, or like a brand deal or something like that, we have some wiggle room there. We
So
can work
what
that
shoes
in.
are they at? Tell me the brands. What are people sending you?
I get a lot of Nike right now.
I'm
Nike,
sure.
Air Forces, Jordans, all of those. But Vans work, Converse work. I've kind of done a bit of everything. I even did a pair of dress shoes once.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so awesome. Have you done shoes for yourself?
No, actually. So
Really?
So I hadn't actually until this year. I did myself one pair of Diamondback shoes.
That's sweet.
But up until that, I'd never done not one thing for myself.
And you're really involved with the Diamondbacks, and we're going to talk about that. But I love to go in chronological order. So we're starting with the Olympians. You're 17 years old, and now all of a sudden you're 21 years old and dominating everything. So between then and now, talk to me about some of those noteworthy clients that have gotten you to the next best thing.
Oh my gosh, where to even start? So after Simone, we really hit our big first NFL client. We
Which
worked
was?
with Bradley Bozeman.
Mm-hmm.
He is amazing. His wife is incredible. And we actually reached out to them. They had advertised needing a cleat artist. And I was like, I can do that. And he responded, and the relationship was made.
He responded. You responded to him. He responded to you.
Right.
And when someone puts out a cleat request, is this for them to like wear on the field?
Yeah, so this specific request was for My Cleats, My Cause, an event I do every year. And essentially what it is they have all these NFL players, and they have, charities and causes that are close to their heart, and they have cleat artists come, and they'll make a pair of shoes to commemorate that. And then they auction them off and make money for the charities.
Sure. And are you a football fan? Like, were you starstruck?
Absolutely. At that point, I was 17, maybe
In
I
an
was even
NFL,
16,
yeah.
and I was just like, wow, like I'm here in math class, but I need to go home and make NFL cleats. It was insane.
What did you put on his cleats?
The first pair at the time, he was for the Baltimore Ravens, and we put his charity is the Bozeman Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They focus on making meals and helping out wherever they can within that range. And we put his logo, and I believe the other foot was just stuff to do with his charity. And then it was like a purple ombre with some gold pattern on the front. And they were really simple, but they really got the message out there.
And ballpark, you don't have to marry a certain number, but ballpark, how much are you charging for this?
Well, at the time, my prices were pretty low. I think I charged $100 at the time, but it was crazy to even be at that point.
Right.
So young, you don't know what really. There's not something out there that's like this. So that was one thing that it's really just.
You're still navigating.
Yep.
Okay, so after him, is that when ESPN called?
ESPN called for actually the All-Stars.
Okay.
The All-Stars was probably the most surreal experience.
Okay, we want to hear the full story.
Okay, All-Stars for me so it happened in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go out to Seattle, and
Well, who called you? I mean, like, it doesn't just fall from the sky. Like, did someone call you and say, hey?
The All-Stars event
How did they find out?
was essentially kind of like a chain of communication. I heard about it, and I had friends doing it luckily, I have friends now that do the same thing as me in different parts of the country, but it really was like a chain. There was one person who knew about it and was looking for artists, and he took a chance on me.
Sure.
And they told me to come out, and from there he got me in contact with the person who was running it, and from there it just kind of happened.
Okay, name drop. Who are we cleating? Is that we call them cleating?
Yeah, his name's Jonathan.
Okay.
Super nice guy. He's a great friend of mine now, but he's a great man. He's awesome.
Okay, well, tell me whose shoes did you do when you were there?
So the pair that I did there was actually a display pair. So
Okay.
for the event itself, you would bring a pair of cleats that you did to commemorate the event. But then on top of that, I got to paint live, which I believe was actually my first time doing that. If I remember correctly, we've done it so many times now. So we would do the one pair, and that pair itself actually took me 48 hours of time. That's the longest I've ever had.
Wow. I was just going to ask you, what's that process like? So you get a blank canvas in the form of a shoe. you create a vision. Do you sketch that first, the vision?
So it depends on the client. For me personally, I don't need that sketch to know what I'm doing. But if it's going to reassure the client, I'm more than happy to do that for them.
And then do you outline it first?
Depends, really. I'm pretty good nowadays. I don't even use stencils. It's just all by hand.
It's all
everything.
freehand.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes you a true artist. And is it a certain kind of brush you're using?
Not necessarily. Whatever works for me at the time.
And are these shoes that people are wearing, displaying?
Wearing. Both.
Wearing.
If they're like a commemorative piece, usually
that's a different thing. But
yeah.
if we're wearing them and we're wearing them out, can we like wash them off?
I say spot treat. That's the best thing you can do. It's wearable art. So you have to kind of treat it like that, but also understand that they are wearable. So.
And live painting, whether or not it's in your house or in your room or wherever you do that, your studio, or live painting at an event, start to finish, how long does it usually take for you to complete a pair of shoes?
Gosh, I average about 8 hours per pair goes into each pair. And it depends on the piece for sure. Like some really small baby shoes take me like 2 hours.
That's cute to do baby shoes.
I know, that's my favorite. They're so cute.
It's so cute. Okay, so after All Stars, I mean, you then connected with NASCAR, and you connected with, you have a great relationship with the Diamondbacks. I mean, I think there's also politicians that you've worked with. So talk me through those clients.
So after All Stars, at that point, I had actually just graduated to high school. But right before that, the politician that I got to work with was at the time President Joe Biden. And we actually met we were out at Long Beach. One of my hobbies is my family loves cars. So we were out there for the Grand Prix. And we actually met the head of security for the White House on the beach. Wow. Crazy enough, on the beach, right? And she took an interest in me and my family, and we've formed a connection there. And after that, it just took off.
What did you put on his shoes?
For him, it was his dog, actually. And I got to pick the design for him as well. And so I did his presidential crest on one, and then his dog, and then the White House behind it on the other pair.
Okay, so then we've taken care of All Stars and the president, the former president, and then baseball, Diamondbacks. Yeah. You're involved with the Diamondbacks.
I am.
Tell me what you do with them.
So I was on their activation team,
which means what?
Essentially a performing team. We're the hype crowd.
You're the hype girl.
We're the hype girl.
I know. My sons are obsessed with you guys.
Really?
Yes, they love to be hyped by the hype girls at the Diamondbacks games.
That's great.
So do you still do that?
So I actually just retried out for it last week.
Okay.
So I'll find out this week. Okay. Hopefully, we're praying for it.
Yes, I'm sure you will for the next season. But tell me about your time as the hype girl and how that ended up transpiring to doing more shoes for them.
So really, when I got the opportunity to do this, it was separate from the shoes thing. I tried out like everyone else.
Separate.
It was a amazing
dancing background.
Time. Right. Yep. And the shoes came almost as a later part, separate from this. Just people reaching out.
Okay, who? We love our Diamondbacks.
Well, I have been lucky enough to work for a couple of the players. Unfortunately, I'm not really supposed to disclose. Okay. But along with that, I've also gotten the opportunity to just work with members within the Diamondbacks. Sure. And that's been super fun as well.
They have such a great corporate team.
They do. Yeah. They're amazing, really. Yeah.
We just did a great photo shoot with Corbin Carroll and Zach Gallen. I mean, all those guys are just phenomenal.
They are. They're just great people. In fact, we were just talking about that the other day. Yeah. They're like, people don't really know these players,
but
they're
a young, fresh, lovely team.
They are. I know it's crazy to me to even think I don't think I'm necessarily older than them, but I'm the same age as like Corbin Carroll. And
I'm the one that's older than all of you. Okay. So now you're an ASU student. We're 5 years into business. So, we talked about high school. Now, how has business evolved since starting college?
It's been a whirlwind, to say the least. It's
NASCAR.
I love NASCAR. They're the best. I get to work. It's crazy enough. It's all run by women. And they took a liking to me because of the mutual connection there. And they're just the most incredible people.
Are you doing the drivers?
I did, yeah. We did 5 of the drivers they did a VIP breakfast, and I was lucky enough to get to go and literally hand them off. It was amazing.
I mean, how rewarding is that?
I think the most rewarding thing about my business is really getting to form these relationships. And honestly, I don't think I've met a client that isn't a friend.
I mean, you're so young, but I will say it seems like you're an old soul and you speak beautifully and eloquent. And I think that you do realize how impressive this is at your young age. So, how has business taken off and where do you see it going?
Well, for me, since college, it's really just became really the lifeblood of me. I feel like it's become, I am Kicks by Kenna now. It's even my professors in college are starting to recognize what I do. And in fact, they support me through it. It's been amazing, even just the outreach there. I've even gotten to work for a couple of the, ASU players.
Yes, talk about Cam. We want to hear about Cam.
That one's actually a little bit of a funny story.
I want the funny story. You knew I would.
Yes. So he's amazing. We made a jacket for his girlfriend and for the bowl game they were in.
Yep.
And, it was a great process. He dropped off the jacket. We talked about ideas. I did the design. It was around Christmas time. I was working through my Christmas orders at the same time, so I was a little bit scrambled. He came to my door, and I didn't, realize who was here to pick up the jacket. So he stood there for a good 20 minutes talking to my dad, and I felt so bad about it. I was like, I am so sorry. I came running to the door in my pajamas.
Oh, my goodness.
It was crazy.
I'm sure your dad had a good time.
He did. He was
Yes.
like, wow.
He got a lot of questions answered.
He
Okay,
probably
so
did.
you made the jacket, which is on Instagram, your Instagram.
Mhm.
You made the jacket for his girlfriend. So we're not just doing kicks here.
No, we're doing everything.
What is everything?
I've done longboards, skateboards, jackets. We do shoes, of course. I'm actually just finished up with a fashion show for the Super Bowl for Phoenix Fashion Week. My motto really is, and it has been this since we started, it's you name it, I paint it. So,
You name it, I paint it. And what's your favorite thing to paint? Are we going back to the soul of who you are of the shoes?
Yeah, I love the shoes a lot, and I love that this is what people really latch onto. My favorite thing to paint by far is actually jackets. I love to do jackets.
Because you have a bigger canvas.
Exactly.
And what is like the cool things that you're painting on jackets right now?
We do a lot of sports teams. Sports
Okay.
are really popular. I'm lucky enough to, be in on the sports.
Can you just see a logo and draw it? Is that how your mind and your
pretty
body?
much, yeah.
So you really can.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how it works for me, but I'll see all these things or I'll get a general theme and in my head I put it together. I see it, the end vision of it before it's even in real life.
I mean, for someone so young, we're all about technology. Are you the anti-technology? Are you really just pen to paper? Or are you using technology to help you?
It's so funny you mentioned that. I feel like two different sides of me because I'm actually a graphic design major, which is technology. I'm all about numbers, it's crazy what we do in there. But then on the flip side of that, in my business, technology is a vital part of what I do. In fact, I'm starting to mix graphic design into it.
Interesting.
Like I mentioned, sometimes
so?
people want to see it before it comes to life.
Right.
So from there is where graphic design comes into it. And I can put together my vision I see in my head for them online and send it to them.
But at the end of the day, it's your paintbrush to whatever your paper is.
Always
which
has
I think
been.
is so organic and refreshing for the
is.
world in which we live in today.
Mm-hmm.
Who's been your favorite client?
Too many to count. Probably actually the Bozeman's. They've always been so supportive of me. In fact, I actually recently got to meet him, and that was incredible. He's an amazing, amazing man, and I just love their family.
That's nice of you to say. And what's the craziest thing you've been asked to paint? I want to know this.
Oh, gosh. Really, there's two sides of this. One time I got asked to paint a Lego camper.
Okay.
I did it. It was fun.
A Lego camper.
A Lego camper. It was a commemorative of someone who had lost a family member, and they built a camper that they really liked, and then I painted their name and the dates
That's
and stuff,
sweet.
and it was super sweet. But on the flip side of that, probably the craziest thing I've been asked to paint would be the president's shoes.
Right. Right. What's been your favorite final product?
Oh, for me, and this is so funny because it wasn't even the president. It was the sweetest. He owns a donut shop in California. His Dane's Donuts. He's an incredible guy. I painted for him a pair of throwback Vans. and it was his donut logo and then some 70s colors. And truly the reason why it hit so hard with me is because that's totally my style.
That's your style.
Right. And
Describe your style.
You know, I'm a bit of a throwback girl myself. I love, like, if it was me, I love, like, 60s, 70s fashion. I'm really into that kind of thing. Vintage cars are crazy for me. Even, like, my graphic design now, I notice how much my personal style really feeds into that. So
if I were to give you a jacket to paint something for yourself, what would you paint on it?
For me, I would paint probably like a Volkswagen bus or something.
That's sweet.
So, yeah.
Good for you. Okay, I know it's a loaded question, but what's your goal? Because you say you're majoring in graphic design, and then you have this tremendous business that you're really accelerating. What's your goal? Which route are we going? Are we focusing on Kicks by Kenna?
So I think Kicks by Kenna will always be a part of who I am and always be something I'm going to continue. Where graphic design might come into that, that's where the question lies, really. Younger me would have said I want to mix them together. Older me would say I really want a studio. Now that I'm older and understand really how important that is, I would love to make a place where people can come and have that support and that creative space that I really had with my family and be able to let them find their Kicks by Kenna, truly.
That's lovely. And then what are your plans for, or where do you paint actually? Because you said you don't have a studio. I mean, is it in your bed? Like, you're going to college right now.
Mm-hmm.
So is it in the house that you live in? Is it in your bedroom?
Is. So I just upgraded. I have a desk now.
Oh, you have a desk.
I did.
Okay.
Kitchen table.
Did
for
you
4
used to do
years.
it like on a kitchen table?
Mm-hmm. I had the very end of it. It was a really long rectangular table, and I got the far left.
Do you listen to music while you paint?
I do.
What music?
Really anything. I love country.
Yeah.
And just
so
throwbacks.
who would be your dream if they're listening? Like, if you could do anyone's shoes or jacket, who's your bucket list?
I've said it once before, and I'll say it again. Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Okay, that does not come as a shocker.
No, I just honestly I love her music, but I really love the person she is on top of that, and
Sure.
so that is my dream.
What do you do on your downtime, which I assume there is not much of?
Right. When we do have downtime, I actually swing dance.
You swing dance.
I do.
Good for you.
It's so much fun. There's a kind of a club I'm a part of. It's all college
You're
kids
doing like
and
I feel like you've accomplished whatever. Like, you have a hobby, you have a job, you're getting a degree.
Yeah.
Like, you're just checking things off your list. So what is on your bucket list? What do you want to do?
Oh gosh. You know, it just changes constantly. The sky's the limit, honestly. That's always been distilled into me. It's if you want it, go for it.
Right.
I would say for me right now, I would love to learn how to snowboard. I know that's
Okay.
kind of random, but
Well,
that'd
no,
be great.
That's not kind of random. And then you could tap into a whole new market.
Right.
Okay, you could do the boots and the boards. But okay, so if I wanted something custom now, I know back in high school we were around $100. I know you probably don't. I bet everything is custom, but on average, how much does it cost someone?
My base price right now is $200.
$200.
And it kind of changes, based on what it is I'm being asked to do. Like a portrait of a person takes me 4 hours.
Right.
So I can't.
And do you ask for a picture? Is that how it works?
I do, yeah. So when I do the design work, if they have an idea of what they want, they can send me, pictures of people, patterns, colors, logos, stuff like that. And from there is where I kind of mesh it together.
And how booked are you?
Oh, booked is not even, it's always.
So you're like, are you constantly, and in order to connect with Kenna, you DM on Instagram,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's where we're at right now. Are you just getting DMs all day long?
Pretty much. And it's really cool. I get kind of a variety of things, whether it's I need a shoe, I need a jacket, come on a podcast.
Right. And it's these are people all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
So you're busy, and you're booked.
We are. And it's crazy. We've even shipped out of the country at this point.
Really?
So,
And I know this is the favorite interview you've ever done. But besides this interview, you've also been on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that.
So I was on ESPN after we did the All-Stars.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to actually be the only female featured artist at the All-Stars. And that was the first one in all history that they've done it. And so that was really a high point of talking for me, is just to see how far, we can go.
Did your Instagram start buzzing after that interview?
It did. Oh my gosh. When we did the live one, I literally, right after cameras went off, we were off the air. I remember, I think I got maybe 20 DMs in 1 minute. It was insane.
It's insane.
And it was buzzing all day. And from that, it just turned into a whole new world of clients, really.
And is it only you and Mom managing everything?
It is. We're just a 2-woman show out here.
You're a 2-woman show out here. Okay, well, where can people get more information?
Kicks by Kenna on Instagram.
Kicks by Kenna on Instagram. Well, I'm in awe. I do want to know, how did you learn to speak so nicely?
Yeah, a variety of things. In fact, my older brother signed me up for public speaking.
I love your older brother.
He signed me
Good
up
for him.
my first semester of college. He said, I just have a feeling you're going to want to take this. I didn't know how to do classes at the time. And I was like, what am I signed up for? And he's like, you're taking public speaking.
That's so awesome because, you know, I have 3 young boys and I teach kids in the Valley how to public speak because usually you generate a fear later on. And, you know, being in the world we live in with the computers, you know, COVID, a lot of these people don't know how to talk. And you got through lockdown at a very pivotal time in your growing up life.
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. Even just the hybrid schedule, I felt, you know, you really were just talking like your friend was your computer.
Your friend was your computer, and that's not the way the world should be. So I commend you for taking public speaking.
Thank you.
You clearly had a wonderful teacher too.
I did. He was amazing. It was fun, the stuff we'd do. He'd, you know, give us a minute prompt. We'd have 1 minute to talk about it, and then you'd deliver a 5-minute speech on like a product you're trying to sell.
And that's the way to learn. And
It
you
is.
did an exceptional job.
Well,
I'm
thank
so
you.
proud of you. Remember all the little people as you continue to grow up and have this business unfold. Congratulations. Okay,
Thank
Kicks
you.
by Kenna on Instagram, and you can visit us at Nadine Bubeck. We'll see you next time.
Now with Nadine. Produced at Star Worldwide Networks.